All right. How are we going to intro this?
I don't know.
Or maybe is this going to be how we intro? Like us trying to figure out how to intro? Is the intro every single time?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So, welcome to Note to Self.
Yes.
This is the pilot.
This is the pilot.
The first ever episode.
Yes. This could be 2 episodes, the first one and the last one.
At the same time.
At the same time.
In your backyard.
Yeah.
I commuted for this.
You did.
Yeah.
You did. You said you were going to be here at 8, and you were almost here at 8, so that's good.
It's 8:45, so
it's pretty impressive.
solid.
We're good. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You started off because you gave me the pitch of the intro earlier, and it was pretty good.
All right. Well, we'll go with it. Well, he asked where we wanted to shoot, and I said in my backyard.
With the dog.
With the dog running back and forth, right? It sounded like a good idea at the time, but I don't know. Bailey was going back and forth. You were going back and forth, trying to figure out the name for the podcast that we wanted to do together. And
Yeah.
I'm almost 49, and you're
Half that. Yeah.
And so we're kind of the same person. I mean, people have said that over and over again. Like, I could totally tell that was your dad when, I walk up randomly and say something to them. So it's an interesting question. What would I tell my 26-year-old self if I'm, this side of all of the experiences that I've had and all the things that I've gone through? And likewise, what would you say as your 26-year-old, 26?
Yeah, 26.
I was going to go for it.
You were close.
Yeah.
You got that.
As your 26-year-old self, to somebody that, maybe has been, I don't know, not really callous, but you know what I mean? Just like maybe sometimes taking life too seriously or not seriously enough.
You have responsibility. You have kids. You have a wife.
Exactly.
You have a lot of things to deal with and think about that I don't.
Yes.
And I have a little bit more freedom and maybe optimism, maybe.
Maybe
not
so.
Not optimism, I wouldn't say.
Well, I think, I mean, it's the longer you've been in this world.
The world is my oyster.
Hey, there you go. The world is my oyster. I like it. I like it. So note to self is what we came up with. The idea is, what notes will we write to one another to keep ourselves, kind of on track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's good. So I don't really, knowing us, this is going to get really deep because we can't really sit and have a conversation that's lighthearted for too long.
True. Yeah, that's true.
But I think maybe if we just start on a subject every week and then see how it progresses.
Let's do it.
So I had the idea as I was in the shower, and I would like to say prepared, but that was in the shower, on my way here, trying to think what are we going to talk about today?
Honest.
And yeah. And I'm stalling because I already lost the train of thought. So I had an idea.
It is still at the station.
And it's gone.
Okay.
It's close.
Everyone quiet so you can think.
This is going to be the longest silence. And I was thinking about, this concept between nurture and nature.
Oh.
Because like we said, right, we are pretty much the same person.
Yes.
You're not my dad by birth.
Right.
But for all intents and purposes, grew up with you, and I call you dad.
Yep.
And so you are dad.
Yeah.
And so with what we were saying, people, we would walk in a room and be like, oh, y'all look so much alike. And it's well, cool. I don't know how that's possible because we have zero blood in common.
Because science.
Because science and Punnett squares. But but yeah, so but for in a lot of ways, we're the same person. We have the same personality. We have the same interests. We went to college and got the same exact degree. Yep. We both worked at a church, did media stuff. I do photography and media, which I took a class from you, right? I did choir. Yep. You were a choir director. We both played French horn. Yeah. We both played tennis. So
the list is long.
The list is long. But I don't think that we could say that that's nature. That's probably nurture.
I would say so.
So how far down that rabbit trail do you think things go? what in our life is the nature and what in life is nurture.
Yeah.
Even like this concept of people are always like, you're so naturally good at piano, or I'm sure you get that all the time, or like all of the things you do day in, day out, people are like, wow, you're so good at that. Mm-hmm. You know, how much of that do you think is nature or nurture?
Man, we're swinging for the fences on this first
I went hard.
That's
well,
really...
if it's the last one we do.
Yeah, no lie, we're going to make it good.
Yeah.
Well, Mom and I, Marie, were just talking about this week. A couple of quotes that I say to you guys. You know, you are who you hang out with, right? You are your friends. And then we came across this quote as we were preparing for something else that says, in 5 years, you are the same person except for the books you read and the people you spend the most time with. And I think there's a lot to be said for that in the nurture idea, because whether we know it or not, people are watching us, and I think that it's not really that I woke up one morning and said, if you're going to be in band, you better play the French horn. So it's kind of hard to explain it, actually, because I don't know how much we really talked about me playing the French horn in high school when you made that choice. You know? So I do think that that, you know, through our entire, we essentially grew up together. You know, I was a huge slacker when I came into the relationship, and you were 3.
Yeah.
So you never knew a time without me, and so we grew up together. You know, there's pictures of us wearing, you know, the same matching hats, and there's pictures of us, you know, just all over the place. And I think maybe subconsciously you were like, well, you know, Dad plays piano, I want to play piano. Dad played tennis, I want to play tennis. But maybe you're just around something for so long that that is what's normal to you. You know, that's what feels right to you. And I don't even want to say comfortable, because there's some things that we do in this life that aren't comfortable. But I think that idea that, you know, it feels right, it feels like home. And so those things that came naturally to you are things that you've been around. So anyway, maybe.
Well, that is funny, because I don't think, in saying those things, like I don't think I ever chose to do those things because you did them. Not all of them. I'm sure there were a few things that I did. Like, I don't think did I ever ask to do piano lessons, or did y'all just put me in piano lessons?
I think we just put you in piano lessons because it was the thing that we did. Yeah.
But like with tennis, I went to tennis because I wanted to get out of class. And so there was tryouts and my friends were trying out. And then I just fell in love with it. So like, I feel like that was just a natural progression. With French horn, I think I wanted to play drums first, obviously, because I think most kids want to play drums because they're cool.
And I think, did you try to play clarinet for a little bit? Because
I did. Well, that was young. That was in elementary. I played clarinet because Grandpa played clarinet.
Right. A long history of incredible clarinetists, and, you know. And so we wanted you to continue, right? It
ends with me. I played Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Mary Had a Little Lamb.
And that was about as far as I got into my clarinet career.
It was a good rendition. So
it was in tune, I think, most of it. Actually, I learned in that house behind us.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, we're in our backyard overlooking
Grandma's front yard.
Grandma's old house. And so kind of funny.
Yeah. So what do you think, what's the biggest thing that you feel like you had to work really hard at, but it looks like it's just natural? So like this, you know, the nature, like someone would look at you and be like, you're just really naturally good at this. And then, but inside you're like, you have no idea how sucky I was when I first started this.
I think of what people comment on, and I think, you know, piano and singing is probably the two things that come to mind. To be honest, I never really worked much with singing. My parents were both pretty incredible singers, and so I kind of inherited that. And for whatever reason, harmony always came easy to me. I would say that I didn't really work hard at piano, but it's interesting that I took the parts of piano that I really loved, which is, I'm kind of what's the word? I kind of tend to veer towards like the emotion, the passion part of something,
Yeah.
And so I really liked the idea of the passion of music, but I wasn't very technical. And so I started to understand the theory of the scales and everything else. And so kind of as a parlor trick for my friends in college, I would play how I felt about them, or the things that I saw in them, I would try to express through just an improvisation,
because he didn't want to take the time to memorize actual songs.
That's right. I didn't want to take the time to visit.
You're like, I'll make up something on the spot.
Or an added layer, I didn't want to take the time to tell them how I felt about them. I just wanted it to be some sort of nebulous kind of thing, You take what you mean out of it. I created this song for you that I could never replicate because I made it up, But I think from doing that, and then that became, pick a key, and then somebody would pick a key, and I would just make up a song.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah.
And so I think in that aspect, I've worked so hard doing that, just kind of for maybe others, that now it's all muscle memory to me, and it's things that I don't even really think about now, but it's because I've spent so much of my life trying to create this, kind of emotional, passionate thing, but in order for it to sound good, I have to understand the mechanics of it.
So you think it's more nature now than it was?
Yeah, and when people say, you hear people say, well, that is just second nature to me, and I think that that's what they mean. Like I've done it so long that now it's become muscle memory, or now it's become automatic, and there's there's things in this life that I feel like are good to have that, it's good for me to have the freedom to play in that way. But, muscle memory and being automatic is really horrible at like relationships. You know what I mean? Because then you're just going through the motions, and then it doesn't mean what it meant like before. And so, I think there's a nature for how we are as people, but then I think there's a very small amount of things that should become second nature to the point where we don't even think about them while we're doing them.
Yeah. I mean, even tying it back to music, like I find myself, I'll sit down at the piano and play probably the same type of thing. And like the cool thing is like I enjoy playing piano, so I could probably sit for 45 minutes and play nothing and just enjoy it.
Yeah.
But then I find that I'm like, okay, but I'm not getting better. And obviously like music, and for me is like, I'm not trying to be the best that ever was. I probably would have needed to practice a lot more in college if I wanted to aspire to be that.
Same.
Yeah. But I think that like...
Oh, interesting side note. We both had the same piano teacher in college, Dr. Olson.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. No. Note to self. But yeah, like I don't feel like if I just let it be second nature and I never nurture it, then I will never get better, and I'll never improve and be like,
absolutely
do what I want to do.
So maybe then that is the trick for even relationships, right? Like you hear people say, it's easy to love you, or it's easy to be around you, and so then that does become second nature. But if you don't ever nurture those relationships, then they're always going to stay at the point they're at, and so.
Oh, here's my alarm. This doesn't mean that we're over, but it means I need to restart the video recording so we don't
checking the audio,
mess up. And we're back with the word from our sponsor.
Yes.
Adidas. See,
Adidas.
Look, I told you I didn't want the computer here because I literally almost spilled. I knew it was going to happen.
You may have to boost my audio after everything's over, but I think you'll be okay.
Okay. Deal.
It's all right.
You got that Audix GM3.
I know. Well, I know it's an Audix.
I just read it, so I didn't know beforehand.
You don't know your microphones quite that well.
No. I know a comprehensive knowledge, but not extensive.
I love that idea though, that nature versus nurture, So here's an interesting note to self. Some people say it is what it is. This is how I am. This is how I'm going to be. Take it or leave it. Mm-hmm. That would be nature, right?
Yeah.
That's second nature to me. So at 26, do you see some of those things where you feel yourself, it's easy to say, well, that's just how I am. It's always going to be that way. I might as well just deal with it. Get used to it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, especially where I am at in life right now, I'm in a good place, but I've for sure the past year has been a whole lot of taking me out of my nature, I guess, what was normal for me for the past 4 or 5 years is flipped on its head now.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things that I'm working through and processing through that I'm this is how I've always processed stuff, but maybe we need to work on this. Mm-hmm. Maybe this is something that I need to figure out. Maybe I need to why am I the way that I am? Mm-hmm. Why do I think this way? And I don't think if I didn't take the time to think through that and figure that out, then I don't know. I don't think that would be super healthy of me.
Yeah.
Even though it's second nature and that's how it was, I think that I'm really nurturing a lot of my thoughts and my ideas and just who I am and trying to work through those things. I think the core of everything is still the same.
Right.
Yeah. But I think there's a lot of things that I'm trying to process through and, nurture to set myself up better,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. And I think, at 49, I'm still processing through things that I need to, work through and change. And, just because I react a certain way to a situation this time does not mean that I have to do that every single time.
Yeah.
My default does not have to be my default. It can change, and that takes intentionality. And it's not going to come easy, I think of, there's this Italian term that I wrote, a blog post on sprezzatura, which means just making everything look easy. It just makes it's very simple. It's very elegant. It looks like everything is completely effortless. And I think that there's a very small amount of things that are like that in my life. The majority of the things that I care the most about are things that are going to take intentionality and time,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think that's good. I mean, what would, on this concept of nurturing and working through stuff, what is the biggest thing, what is the biggest note to self you would tell yourself at 26?
At 26?
Yeah.
I would say start asking the questions why you believe the way you think, the way you believe, why you do the things you do, what's your purpose. But that doesn't mean it's not trying to figure out the meaning of life, but just what excites you, what brings meaning to your life, I just read something this morning. The things that you're willing to die for are the things. Wow, we made it to about 18 minutes before I started to almost choke up. Did you see that? The things that you're willing to die for are the things that you are willing to live for. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Was that Last Arrow?
No, but it might as well have been.
Okay, I was gonna say,
yeah.
You got me that book, and it sounds a lot like that.
It's definitely, and it's this idea. I wish very early on that I had addressed the way I reacted and my coping mechanisms for difficulties in my life in my 20s. I never took the time to address that, and I had coping mechanisms, but they were horrible, you know, and they were not beneficial, and they were not edifying in any way. And now at 49, I run, I take walks with my wife. I've built these little things in, so whenever there are triggers, I have a better understanding of how to cope. But there is some, maybe remorse is the right word, knowing that I could have done that, almost 20 years ago, over 20 years ago. And I guess it's really easy to think, how much time have I lost by waiting, this long to try to address some of the things that I see in my life. So, and that's just being honest, So anyway, keep doing what you're doing is what I would say. Keep asking those questions, keep trying to figure out, why do I, react that way or any of those big ideas. The why behind what you do will often lead to change in behavior, because if you don't like the why, then you're going to be like, well, I need to find a different reason, a different motivation. So.
Yeah, I think you're making sure. Yeah, we're still recording. I think for me, it's interesting because it's like this season that I'm in I hate using the word season because I feel like it's a very cliche thing.
Yeah.
But this time in this portion of my life that I'm in, has felt like it's like tearing away a lot of things and like rebuilding. But then at the same time, I think about that and I'm like, I guess this would be my note to self in 25 years. Like the stuff I'm doing now, I feel like when you read a book or when you see a movie, like there's always this integral part in this character's life where it's like, this is my turning point. This is when I'm processing through, like, why do I believe what I believe? Who am I? Like that redemption arc, or not redemption arc, but that turning point in your life. Like there's this moment. And I think my note to self would be like, that doesn't have to be a one-time thing. Yeah. Because like that can be a constant thing that we're always processing through, that we're always working through. Because the ideas that I may have and the resolution that I come to at 26, it may be good and it may make me better. But even then, if I just keep that, I'm like, okay, this is now how I believe life is. And these are my thoughts and opinions now for the rest of time. Yeah. Like then I'll be just as kind of screwed up as I was previously.
Yeah, you'll live your whole life jaded. Yeah, for sure.
Because I feel like we view life through the lens of our life. Like I view the universe and concepts through the lens of what I'm going through right now. And so if I frame the rest of my life and come up with ideas and principles that I live the rest of my life with, it'll be a very 26 way of viewing things. And my friend Hadley, like he always says this, is he's like, I know I'm not probably right, and I know that my thoughts are like messed up. So like, I'm just going to go into this. Like, I know I'm not going to know everything I need to know, but I'm aware of that fact. Yeah. Like I'm not under the delusion that I'm 100% right. Right. But this is what I have to work with, so I'm going to work with it. Yeah, that's good. I'm just open to the fact that I am probably a little immature. Yeah. And I'm a little bit underinformed. And I'm a little bit naive in some ways. But I think that's like, the problem is I don't think we're ever going to get away from that.
No, I don't think so either. That's a really great point it's a really great reminder. See what I did? Reminder. Yeah, just that there's this process until we die. If we lend ourselves to the process, right? I mean, it's the idea of sanctification. It's the idea of drawing nearer to God. But if we don't allow ourselves to be in this process, then we harden our hearts. We say that we know what we know, and we're going to be informed by only this small amount of information, and the rest of you are obviously not as smart as me, and what kind of life, what kind of joy-giving life is that for us, not to mention the people around us? It's not much of one, so yeah.
I don't know if I heard this somewhere or if I'm making it. No, I'm not making it up, because I obviously heard this from somewhere, but I'm paraphrasing. But like, I think wisdom for me right now means that like I am able to take what I know and be fully aware that I have no idea like what I'm talking about. Or like where I'm at. Like I like wisdom for me is knowing that I don't know enough. So I want to like keep learning, and I want to keep growing, and I want to keep searching. But I mean, that's just the hardest thing that I'm wrestling with, is it's like, I'm going to go through this process for the rest of my life.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to know. And I guess that's just like part of the fall of man. Like, we're always going to be learning. We're always going to be growing. We're always going to be searching.
Yes.
But I think that's what tethers us to what's important in life. Because if we had it figured out, then we wouldn't have to rely on God. We wouldn't have to rely on the people around us. We wouldn't have to.
Yeah, if we had it all on our own, there'd be no need for a savior. But obviously there is, So, man, I feel like that's a good.
That's a good stopping point.
That's a good farewell episode. Thanks. No, I think, I don't know. Yeah. We'll see what happens. But
yeah, let's end on a good note. I mean, that was a good note, but I don't want to leave everybody super introspective and
that's right. Yeah, they're like, there's only one episode. We want to,
because I mean, I don't think I'm like this as much as you. You enjoy being sad.
I do. Well, I do.
Don't lie.
I don't know, man. Sad's a little harsh. Maybe I like introspective. I like contemplative.
But with like a hint of sadness.
A sad. Well, I'm an Eeyore. It's fine. It's okay.
And I'm a Tigger.
That's right. This is where we're different.
Right? That is where we're different. Yeah. For sure. Okay. So along the lines of nature versus nurture, there's a skill that I have acquired.
Yes.
And that's like, I have a pretty good relative pitch.
Yes.
And we both went to college for music, so we're both very into music and know that. And my friends know this about me because like they're just around me all the time. But I'm pretty good. Like, I'll hear somebody stand up and their chair scrapes, and I will usually be pretty like close to being able, like, that was a C note. And I think that's one of those things that people are like, you're so good at that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is not like, this is not something is natural. Like,
right.
I just practice a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I just hear things around the house, and I work at the house, and I'm self-employed. So I don't have a job. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm alone a lot. So my roommate Colin will come home, and I'll just be like singing like, ah! And I don't know he's home, and so I'm just in my own little world. But yeah, I have the time to practice these random skills of, hearing the garbage truck and being like, oh, that's an A. And so I think that's a nurtured skill. But I wanted to just see where your relative pitch is at. So I'm gonna get out my tuner, and I'm just gonna sing a note, and I want you to see how close you can get.
So perfect.
Perfect
pitch is something you're born with. People that are born with perfect pitch, yes, definitely. Somebody sings a note, they can say dead on, this is what note it is. If they're supposed to be in one key and somebody's singing in a different key, it's going to mess with them because they know exactly what it is.
They could hear a fart and know what pitch
it is.
And it's and a lot of the times these people are not musical.
Right. Yeah, it's just something they're born with. Relative pitch, though, is learned. It's a learned behavior, and it's practiced, and so anyway.
And it could be similar to perfect pitch. But you and I could never have perfect pitch, no matter how hard we try.
We weren't born with it.
Yeah. but we can have a pretty good relative pitch.
Okay, let's go.
So I'm going to sing a note.
Let's go.
Do you want a low note or a high note?
I don't care.
Duh.
A.
Duh. Yeah, it was an A. It was a little flat A.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an A.
We're gonna go with flat.
Dang,
A.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Okay. Oh, that's the same note. See, this is the hard part.
I'm gonna say a D.
It's a C.
You're
pretty close. That's
pretty close.
Okay, tell me your process. You can do me after this, but tell me how because I think the relative pitch, it's different for everybody. Mm-hmm. So like, how do you figure out what note it is?
So choir director for 15 years, and we did the national anthem forever, like for everything. And so
yeah, I remember.
If we were anywhere around and they needed the national anthem sung, they would say, "Hey, can your choir do it?" So we knew that, we practiced it, and the bottom note of the arrangement that we used for the soprano lead line was an A.
And that's how you.
And that's how
you determine everything.
That's how I determine most things because da da da. So I'm like, oh, that's an A. And then after that, I just sing up to whatever note it is, and then I'm there. Again, I told you, it's not a practice
That's
thing.
a wild process.
It's a wild process. It works perfect in my head.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Here, yeah.
Okay.
There's your. Here, well, don't let me look at it.
Okay, let's see.
I'm
do you
gonna
want a low
cheat
note or a high note?
You just surprised me.
All right.
The best thing is I get to hear our like mumbling process of this, like trying to figure it out to hum it.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
It's a G sharp.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it was closer to an A flat than it was an A. So yeah, G sharp. Yeah.
Okay.
And harmonic notes. That's going to be another podcast.
So it was within a half step.
It was within a half step.
Okay. I'm cool with that. B?
B flat.
Oh, frig. Okay.
Right. You want one more?
Yeah, do one more. Don't. E?
F.
Ow, gosh. Okay, I'm getting close.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to know how I do it?
Yeah.
My range.
Oh, okay.
I just know where my breaks are.
Yeah.
So it's nothing I hear. Mm-hmm. So it's never, I don't know. I think I could get better at making it more precise.
Yeah.
But I can usually get within a whole note from it, or a whole step from it, just because like I know my break's about F sharp in the treble clef, like up top my break. And so then from there I just kind of play with octaves, and then I know where my break's at. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Because I'm not really good at hearing something and being like, oh, that's a E or whatever. Yeah. So it's all just relative, you know. I work through from my.
Well, now you know our secrets. Yeah. So for that,
it's not as impressive as it seems now.
No. Well, we can do it though.
That's true.
Pretty
we
close.
don't have to tell people the process.
That's right.
Well,
all right, man.
It's been fun. I enjoyed it.
It was awesome, Billy. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, for sure. I'll bill you for my gas.
Oh, yes. Very good. All right.
Well, thanks for listening to Note to Self, hearing us ramble. And I would say we'll see you next week, but it took us 4 months to record the first one.
So we'll see how it goes.
We'll see you at episode 2.
Yeah.
Whenever that is.
Whenever that is. If you have ideas.
Yeah.
For like a topic you want us to kind of flesh out amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
Let us know. We'll see.
We're open. We'll probably make it way more deep and introspective than you meant it to be, but
it's true.
Yeah.
All right.
Have a good day.
It was so good, man.
Yeah. Love you.
Have a great day.
See ya.